Hello, and welcome to the Chambers Meet the Candidate. My name is Debbie Brown, and I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell us what office you're running for.
Okay, my name is Tammy Mutina. I am running for the mayor of the village of Bailey's Prairie.
Great, okay. What we're going to do is ask Tammy some questions. I'm going to give you questions. I know you've already kind of looked over them. So you have some ideas on what you want to say, which is good.
Yes.
So it will give you a lot of information. Tammy's contact information, in case you want to speak to her about anything that she says today or anything questions you may have, will be listed on the Chamber's website. So you'll be able to go there for emails or phone numbers or anything like that.
Yes.
Okay?
All right.
So we're just going to dive in. I'm going to ask you the first question, and you just talk to your people, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Okay? Why, in your opinion, are you qualified for this position? And what sets you apart from the other candidates in this race?
I bring almost 30 years of working at an executive level in both the private sector and on the global level within the global corporate USA. You know, it's working on a global level is far different than just working for the private sector, but that too is also rewarding. With my experience, I bring leadership, facing challenges, working within a budget, transparency, problem solving, all of which will play a big important part of being the mayor of the village.
Right.
So,
okay. What issues compelled you to run for mayor, and where do you stand on them?
The threat of dissolving the village was at stake. We've had a mayor that's been in place for several years. She's done a great job, but she is moving on. Okay. And so it needed, we needed someone to step up and take on the role. And I always love a new challenge. And so I thought, I will step up and take on this role as mayor and keep the thing moving forward, working with the Board of Aldermen and also the community, and keeping the village thriving.
Right, great. Okay, how do you plan to familiarize yourself with the issues that come before the council?
First of all, I'll be doing my homework. There's going to be a lot of issues I'm sure that I will not be familiar with, but I'm going to do my homework, reach out to others that know what more about the situation than I do, and then meet with my board and also the community and come to a resolution of whatever issues we have, and so we can just move past them and keep things moving forward.
Good. In your discussion with voters, what concerns or issues have been raised that have surprised you the most? And what are your suggestions for dealing with these issues?
I've had numerous people talk about the recent flood that we had. And although the flood was a big issue, when they blocked Highway 35 from the village and going through the village, because past the village was Bar X, which also was blocked. We were shut out of the village numerous times, on and off, no rhyme or reason. You know, you would leave thinking that you could turn around and come back, and an hour or two later, nope, all traffic is shut off. That was very upsetting to a lot of people, because several people were not flooded out of their home, so they simply went to town, get supplies, come back, and then you couldn't make it back to your home. So I'm sure there was good reason. Again, this is something that I will have to dive into should the need arise. But at this point in time, the way I see it, if you have identification that's going to take you to an address within the village, whether you're doing a welfare check on your own property or you simply were not flooded out, you should be allowed to go in and out as you please. Maybe have curfews. I mean, I don't know. Again, every situation is different, and we will definitely cross that bridge when it comes. But just blocking everything off, and saying no, we're not going to do this. A lot of people were upset about that, especially those that were not flooded out. Another issue has been the budget. The budget is always posted online, and of course, if a lot of people don't attend every meeting. Some people don't ever attend meetings. And that's fine. But, whenever you just see a budget, there's questions. So the first thing I want to do is go line by line through the budget with my board and just justify, is the dollar amount right? Do we need to move money somewhere else? It's just, I think it's just a little bit of housekeeping that I will do initially. That way, if ever I'm out and about and someone asks me about a particular line item, I will know that I supported it, I made that decision, and, hopefully have an answer for them.
Good. What do you see as the greatest challenge for Bailey's Prairie in the next 5 years and long term? How will you, as an elected official, help face those challenges?
Again, we're back to the flood. As you know, that it was a big issue. It has been for a big issue, because when the floodwaters come through Bailey's Prairie, they seem to sit there for a couple of weeks, and they don't go anywhere, and they sit there and they sit there. And so about the time people get back into their homes, well, then here we go, we're back flooded again. So that being a very hot topic, I plan to be looking at the waterways. It's not about how high up you can raise your house now. Maybe some new homes, raise that flood level. But for all of the existing homes, what are we going to do? And I speak for myself. I lived there too. We had water right up to our doorstep. So it is a big issue. And it is something that needs to be looked at both upstream and downstream. What is the overall flood? We haven't had these kind of floods. I've lived there for over 12 years. And we haven't had the kind of floods that we've had in the last 2 years. So to me, something has changed. Something needs to be addressed. And whatever that something is, I'm willing to take on that challenge and look at it and face it head on, because obviously I have a vested interest in it too.
Yes, you do.
So
Good. Prairie County is facing an explosion in population growth. How do you feel this will affect Bailey's Prairie, and what needs to be done to plan for this growth?
Well, planning, it's already here. We have noticed a tremendous amount of traffic already on Highway 35. If you try to get out during the hot hours of 6 to 8, and then again in the evenings, I mean, we are there already. So with more traffic, of course, comes more accidents. And then with more accidents, then we have more need for the EMS and police and other support that we have to borrow from our neighboring communities, from Angleton, from, the Highway Patrol, from, all these things. And so I want to face them and say, what can we do? And I'm just pulling out of the sky here. Is it stoplights? Is it more highway lighting? It's something that needs to be addressed, something that needs to be looked into. And then once I find out where we think the problem is and how we can correct it, then I want to go back to the board, back to the community for their support, and saying, look, this is what we need to do, and this is why we need to do it, to keep the flow going back and forth, and just not have such a disruption and traffic, and just trying to get out of your own home. I know it's hard sometimes, and sometimes you got to just get out there and just punch it and hope for the best. But anyway, that's just a few of the things that I wanna conquer and look into, and I look forward to a challenge.
I think you'll have that.
It's always a challenge, but you know, you just got to move forward, and I look forward to it.
Okay. Well, great. That's all the standard questions that I have. If there's anything else you want to say before we close, and give it your last 1, 2, 3.
Well, foremost is get out there and vote. The last voting, I think we had 35 people vote. Now, for a community of approximately 700, we need people to vote. So, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, it's easy to remember. Let's get out there and vote. Absentee ballots are already in your mailbox. If you're not going to be here on May 5th, send in your ballot now. But please vote. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us,
yes,
Tammy.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Running for mayor of Village of Bailey's Prairie.
Yes.
And we'll see you at the polls.
Yes.